Hey, Ron.
How's it going, Chris?
Good. How are you this morning? Or basically afternoon now?
I'm okay. Just,
Good.
same as everybody.
Yeah.
Doing the best we can. So, just about to get
Very
started. Got 5 minutes. So we're gonna talk about virtual showings. Should be interesting, considering this is kind of new to everybody. So,
Yeah, very cool topic.
yeah, especially there is no real best practices yet, right?
Yep.
Because we've even if you haven't done it before, well, everybody else just started 3 weeks ago. So,
Yeah.
in essence, there's nobody that really mastered it yet. So we're all kind of
Yeah.
learning together. So that's the fun part.
Yeah, exactly. And makes it a good topic for kind of collaborative learning as well.
It does, yeah, because maybe somebody discovered a good way to do something on their own, and they can share it with everybody else. So
Yeah.
I've done quite a few in the last few weeks, so I'll share what I've experienced as much as I can, and then hopefully people jump in. I've noticed on these type of Zoom calls, the activity or participation, nobody really jumps in and shares that often as much as they would as in a physical face-to-face type. So it's just a
Yeah.
way of the participation.
Yeah. And we've got Noga and Sandra here. See, you've still got 4 minutes
Yeah.
before noon, and then hopefully it can open up to more participatory, collaborative.
Yeah, because what ends
Session.
up happening, the way I found that the best way for me to deal with it, it's kind of like I'm asking questions and I'm answering my own questions. So
Yeah.
it's just the way to kind of help everybody go along.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Perform the Socratic method on yourself.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So it's you have whatever question comes to mind, whatever's on my mind at that very moment, then I'll ask it, and then if somebody jumps in, great. If not, then I just go ahead and answer it.
Cool.
There's the only challenge with that one is that, well, I don't have everything, or I'm not aware of everything. So there's certain things I know, there's certain things I don't know. So, and I don't know what I don't know.
Right. Only what you've encountered in your
Yeah,
particular
exactly.
business and particular client base will
Mhm.
have come to you in your prior experience.
Yeah, we'll see. So we got a few more minutes left. In the meantime, I guess I'll get my slideshow ready.
Okay.
I think I got everything. Good to go.
Hello.
Hey, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
How's everybody?
Doing well. How are you this afternoon?
That's
Just
a
approach noon.
great day.
Hello, Lynn.
Hello, Ron.
Hello, hello. How's everything?
Everything's very good.
Good. Good is good.
I'm very adaptable.
Yeah.
How's it going for you over there?
It's okay. I'm at ups and downs like always. Downs and ups, pros and cons and pros, zigs and zags.
Got to be
So,
adaptable and flexible.
yeah, you have to. You have to. And it's one of the things that we keep hearing it. I think if you take enough training sessions, it's you have to be active. You have to do something. You can't do nothing.
Right.
So, if you're looking for movement, and activity breeds more activity, and inaction will breed not the results you're looking for. So it's you have to just move forward.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Lynn, how are you?
Good. Thank you for all your help.
Yeah, no problem. Hopefully some of those resources are helpful amidst the sea of new and changing information.
Yeah. Did you sent me the Keller expenses for the year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Look for that. Thank you.
No problem.
So I got 12:01 on my clock. We are going to discuss virtual showings, and I do need to be out of here by 1 o'clock. It's going to be an interesting discussion for one major reason. Well, it's a topic that is kind of new to everybody. It's it's new to all of us, which means that there's no best practices really as of yet. We're all kind of discovering the best practices as we go along here, and the great part of sharing is that, well, I might know something that you may not, and you may know something that I do. So that's what we're all here for, here to share with each other. So what I need everybody to know is that you have to start somewhere. So, and you're not too far behind if you haven't started yet. So when it comes to virtual showings, it's even if you start now, well, you're only 3 weeks behind everybody else that just started 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago. So it's okay. Now we're doing it fairly often recently due to everything that's going on, obviously. Before we begin, is there anything that you want me to focus on? Anybody that's present, listening?
Well, my question is, are you doing them from your photographer, or are you personalizing it by going through the house?
Okay, so there's different types. We'll get into that. It really depends what type of virtual showing you're doing. I do different kinds. I have done different kinds recently where it's me doing the video walkthrough, it's the listing agent doing the video walkthrough. We're doing a Zoom meeting with the seller, with the listing agent, with everybody. So there's different types of video conferencing virtual showings that we're doing. It just depends on the scenario. But we have to get comfortable with each of those. So there's different types. Ultimately, what we're looking to accomplish is to provide value to our clients, to have them engaged. And it's important because, well, we don't want the clients to disengage, to not provide them any value. And this is a big part of providing value to our clients in today's environment. If we're able to provide them video walkthroughs and photos and floor plans and schedule these video virtual tours, that's of value to our clients. So that's what we need to understand. So that's a good way to start it off. What's the benefit of getting familiar with virtual showings and all the different ways that we can do it? Well, it comes back to our clients. It definitely benefits our clients and benefits us. And even for those clients that there's different types of buyers right now. Let's start with that. Right now, there's different types of buyers. So working with buyers right now, there's those that will obviously say, you know what, I'm not interested in seeing any physical showings at the moment. That's okay. So, we'll have the conversation with them. Okay, when this is all over, and what's your plan? Fine. But then there's those buyers that need or want to be purchasing a home right now. Okay, so let's talk about those different types of buyers. So when we're talking about the types of buyers that want or need to buy a home right now for one reason or another, how do we accommodate them? Well, it's based on how they feel. Well, okay, well, what do I mean? Well, there's some buyers that say, I'm not going to physically see a house at all. Like, it's not going to happen because they have a health concern, a major health concern. Okay, and there's those buyers that are saying, listen, we want to see homes. But we're very, the health concern is a very large concern with us. And then you go about them by providing them with a lot of information, the video walkthroughs, the virtual tours as a preview, and then get them in as a physical showing. That's number two. And then there's the third buyer, which is okay with physical showings. So there's the different types of buyers, and you're kind of proceed in different ways depending on how they feel right now. But virtual showings is a big part of it across the board with all three. So that's why we need to get comfortable with it. So there's different ways to go about it. I did present a slideshow. Let me pull that one up for us. Let me share my screen with you, and we'll get this party started. All right. Everybody can see my slideshow here?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to talk about virtual showings. We just discussed, the different types of buyers. What you see in front of you, this virtual home buying program template. It's something that our market center has created for us, and it's something that we can share as a visual, right? As a visual kind of path to how to purchase a home. So, and the reason I asked the question on the side, if you can see that question, says, I want you to ask yourself that question, and that'll help us discover new ways of kind of helping our clients move forward. And if you had to buy a home virtually, what would have to happen for you to purchase without a physical showing? What would make you, if you had to buy a home without seeing it, what would make you comfortable doing so? And that's, now we have to kind of put ourselves in our client's shoes and say, okay, I would feel more comfortable if this happened, that happened, and that happened. And we're the navigators, we're the facilitators, we're the guides here. So we have to guide them, we have to take them, we have to show them a way to, you know, help them achieve the end result they're looking for. And if we don't, then, you know, they're less likely to work with us. So we can provide them with a value proposition that, yes, this is a path, this is the procedures and protocols, this is how we're gonna make it happen for you. So this is just an example. And of course, when we're talking about virtual showings, we do have to prepare them for it, so that we're gonna have that discussion too. Just out of curiosity, if any one of you had to buy a home virtually, what would make you comfortable?
The only way I could even conceive of it is if my agent had their phone camera walking through the house and I could tell them, look left, look right, show me the floor, show me this, show me that, as they walk through, and I could see every crawl space, you know, everything, and
Yeah,
guide my agent.
and we're going to talk about that too. So that's a part of the you know, the video walkthroughs that we're doing. And there's also a question of, okay, do we do it live or do we do it even pre-recorded? There's a lot of agents that are pre-recording these walkthroughs and then they're reviewing it with their clients. So there's different ways to go about it. I mostly do the live ones in different ways. We're going to discuss that too. So, and we're going to go, if you know me, I don't have a problem going off topic a little bit when it comes to topics. When we're talking about virtual showings and preparing, obviously we're going to insert buyer consultation in there. Obviously we're going to set the expectations of how things work, how we do business, and what to look forward to. So there's, you know, there's a lot of things that can come into play when we're having this discussion. So feel free that if you have something on your mind to share it and ask the question, and we'll discuss that too, okay?
I have one physical question regarding the virtual showing. Can you do it yourself?
Yes.
Or do you have to have someone holding the camera for you?
No, you can definitely do it yourself. There's,
Okay.
let's just say FaceTime, WhatsApp, Zoom, whatever platform you want to use. You know, if you're FaceTiming somebody and you turn the camera around, you're physically walking through the house and you're asking all the questions. Now, I'm also going to give you some tips at the end of what to do when we're doing it, and that should help you, those tips.
Would you put a video up though of you doing it yourself that way? Or is it too unprofessional looking?
No, something is better than nothing, and
Okay.
done is better than perfect. That's the way. That's my way of thinking.
Okay.
So we can always improve on something, but like I said, done is better than perfect. So if you're doing it, have something, because if a client says, "Well, can you send me a video walkthrough?" and you don't have one, then you're of no help. So having something is way better than having nothing. And, you know, don't worry about getting it perfect. You're going to improve with every video you do. I can tell you that, you know, holding the camera is important. And, you know, if you hold it landscape, a lot, you know, spatial kind of awareness is a lot better. As far as tips, I'm going to mention at the end a few things that you just touched upon, and you should benefit from it. So let's talk about those things.
And Ron, can I just ask a quick question? And this would be, you know, this is more on the listing side in terms of for posting on MLS, and that being, besides having photos, do you think it's worth the investment to do the virtual tour, you know, have the photographer, where the photographers are doing it, put the virtual tour out there as like a generic virtual tour that is a starting place for people to see and walk through the home. And then you would do your one-on-ones later on.
Moving forward, I do think it'll increase the likelihood you sell those homes faster.
Yeah.
So yes, I think the more we spend on that, like the Matterports are great.
Right.
A lot of agents are utilizing that now and getting into that now. And for those that haven't, it's okay to start now. But there's, 3D tours and virtual tours. They're a great tool to increase activity on your listings. And it does cost a little bit more money. And it's not the only thing that we have to consider as on the listing side. About spending more money. Now listings will cost a little bit more. There are going to be some additional expenses. Going into a buyer's market, we're going to see all kinds of things like, sellers paying for home warranties and sellers paying for pre-inspections and sellers, maybe sanitizing the place. That costs money too, right? So maybe you get a company to come in and sanitize the home. Well, all that costs money. So on the listing side, to kind of increase activity, we're going to be doing all kinds of things, but it does cost money. So let's talk about preparation and setting expectations on these showings. Not everybody is so tech savvy, and not everybody, like I said, knows how to use these tools. And this is all new to many of us, and it's okay. Because most agents only started using it 3 weeks ago, so nobody's really mastered it, and nobody's really discovered the best practices for it. We're all kind of discovering this together. So that's what we're having this meeting, discussion, presentation today to share best practices that we've discovered so far. So how do we? I always like to ask the question, how do we transition from a physical to, let's say a physical open house to a virtual open house? How do we transition from a physical showing to a virtual showing? And what kind of obstacles are we going to have, doing that? There's going to be some speed bumps and some obstacles to overcome because this is not the way that we've done business before. What are some of the ones that you've had? Shifting it from a physical to a virtual?
I'm barely getting any showings right now.
And there are fewer buyers, so it will decrease showings. I'm seeing it on my end too, on the buying end. I mostly work with buyers. There are many buyers have taken a step back, and there's still buyers out there, but there's fewer buyers out there. Mm-hmm. We're still in most of our markets, we still have low inventory. It's just that there's fewer buyers. So I think that both buyers and sellers, there's a level of adjustment that needs to take place right now, and it is going on definitely on the buyer end. They can see there's fewer buyers. The same properties that were getting multiple offers 4 weeks ago are now getting no offers unless they're priced correctly. In any market, if it's priced correctly, you'll still get multiple offers. And we're having the discussions on our end too for our listings. Should we reduce the prices or should we lower the price point so we get the activity, so we get the offers and we don't have it sitting on the market? So, those are, it's always a case by case depending on the property and the owner, yet it's an important one to have. So shifting over from a physical to a virtual kind of world here and activities, the biggest obstacles I've had is kind of the adjustments. It's protocols and procedures is a big one. And setting the expectations is a big one because we have to communicate exactly what happens next. I always said the number one ability as a buyer's agent is to have the ability to communicate what happens next to our clients. Well, a lot of us don't know what happens next because we have to create everything from scratch now. So that's why, that's kind of like why we're having this meeting today. So I can share with you what I'm kind of going through and share with you what's on my mind and what I've experienced in the last few weeks. And that'll hopefully provide you some value. I trust it will. So we're failing forward. So we're all on the same page. We're failing forward and we're failing forward together, and it's okay. So just be okay with that. And when it comes to preparation, this is going past the buyer consultation also, because the buyer consultation is kind of like a virtual buyer consultation, a different type of conversation. We actually had it 2 weeks ago, but I can have it with you at any point in time also as well, and we can also touch upon it if you like. But when we're talking about the tech, we have to prepare our clients for the tech because a lot of them don't have Zoom, right? But so when you're so pre-appointment, when we're preparing them, yes, you want to schedule the appointment, right? You want to send them a Zoom link, or you want to send them a calendar invite if it's Google. It doesn't have to even be Zoom through the meeting, but you want to send them some sort of, we're having a meeting at this day and time, because the last thing you want is you show up to a property to do a video walkthrough and your client's not ready to even do the meeting, and then you went there for what? So schedule the meeting. As a tip, I said if it's a Zoom meeting, do a private meeting with a password to avoid hacking. It's a big deal lately. Make sure everybody has Zoom if you're doing Zoom. Make sure everybody has WhatsApp if you're doing WhatsApp. Make sure everybody has can FaceTime if they so whatever platform you happen to be using. Just make sure the other party that you're doing this with has that tech, has that app, has that whatever it needs to be done in order to conduct the actual appointment. If you're doing Zoom, clean up your desktop. You don't want to start showing all kinds of stuff that they don't need to see. So just some small tips when it comes to preparation. Preparing the client, the buyer, the seller, the agent, the other agent, whoever the other agent is, whether it be a listing agent or a buyer's agent, if you're going to do a combined virtual showing, because you're going to be doing those. A lot of listing agents are accommodating the virtual showings. A lot of times it's the seller that's holding up the camera. It's the seller that's walking through the house. So, there's you can get on a Zoom call. I've done it several times now where the seller is doing the walkthrough. Everybody has joined, the buyers, myself, the listing agent, and the seller's walking through the house with the camera. Well, here's the thing. There's some prep work that is required with that because the seller needs to know how to use the camera on the phone. The seller needs to know how to use the Zoom. The seller needs to know all these things too. So what I would recommend, if you're having one of your clients, one of your sellers, or one of your buyers, or anybody that's doing the actual walkthrough, make sure they know how to use the tech. It's probably worth mentioning because some people kind of forego this, but declutter the house and prep it for a showing just like you normally would. You don't, the last thing you want is you've scheduled this meeting with all parties, you're doing a walkthrough to the house and it doesn't really show that well. Well, you still want to show it in its best light. So still prepare it like you normally would for any showing. You don't want the seller to kind of sell the home. Also, kind of have that conversation with your sellers, please. If you are the one kind of conducting this, tell them just not to talk too much. If there's any information, any questions directed at them, then they can answer it. But just some advice: don't have them try to sell. It's just a tour. It's not like we're trying to make a sale here. Do a pre-showing test run with your clients, please. So if you're a listing agent, make sure so that you get all the kinks out. So there's no surprises during the actual appointment, because a good video conferencing will increase the likelihood that they either want to physically show it or submit an offer. So we're going to try to increase the likelihood as much as possible. You can do that by doing pre-test or a pre-run, right? So make sure that everything's okay. Yeah.
The other thing that you might want to include in the tech piece of it is making sure that the client has speakers that work on whatever device they're using, because an iPhone or a Mac, things work really well. If you go and I've had experience, this is with just friends, they've loaded Zoom on their PC, but they don't have an active or an older computer, so that the speakers don't work anymore. So those are other things that have to get checked, that you can have a productive time together.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good tip. And we can create a checklist for them. Creating a checklist, a visual for many people is a great thing because they know what to look forward to. This is what we should do. So create a checklist, create a, whether it be points or whatever you need before, during, after, whatever you need for your buyers and sellers. It sets expectations, so everybody's on the same page. Having everybody on the same page can only benefit us and everybody involved. When it comes to just some tips, when you're doing these live video conferences, showings do take longer. They do take longer than a regular showing. I think that's a really good tip. You don't want to be learning this the hard way. And there's a reason it does take longer. Going back to Lynn's concern in the beginning of this, when we started this about 20 minutes ago, you want to kind of take it slow. And there's a reason you want to take it slow is because you don't want to be shaking, the camera and give them motion sickness, right? So you take it slow. And here's the important part. You have to show them everything that's perceived as negative. So every scratch, every ding, if there's a highway behind us, if there's, a crack, anything that can be considered negative, you want to show it to them. They're not physically there to see it. So you're their eyes and ears. You have to show them everything that's negative. You also want to take it slow. You also want to answer any questions they have. I bet that, after kind of thinking about this for a second, you can say, oh, I can see why it would take longer. It's going to take longer. It's going to take twice as long or 3 times as long as an actual physical showing because they're not there. So you have to take it slow. And just a tip, because I also found this the hard way, and I don't want you to find this the hard way too. Know the information about the property before you start the showing, because if you're actually the one doing the video walkthrough, and you don't know the information, and you have the information on your phone or you have the information on a separate sheet, it's that much more difficult to go to that information while you're in the middle of the meeting. So know the information for the property before the meeting. Just a tip. When we're touring these houses, you can kind of get in the habit of doing it your own way. There's no right or wrong here, obviously, but if you start from the street, show them the neighborhood, show them the street, show them the exterior, move your way in. Obviously, you should show the interior of the house, go to the backyard, and then, of course, go slow. Like I said before, you don't want to cause any motion sickness. And then, of course, ask them for permission or ask them if they'd like to take a second look or a longer look at anything else inside. Does that all make sense in the meantime? And, you can kind of get in a habit of your best practices of, how you go about it, where you begin, where you end, and what scripts you use in the middle, and all kinds of questions you're asking. What are your thoughts about this? What are your thoughts about that? Showing them whatever, is worth calling their attention to. Look at the permit on the boiler. Look at the, just like we would for a physical showing, you still want to point things out to them. Right. Look at, there's an, I don't know, an old dishwasher, I don't know, an old this and do that. So we're preparing them best we can. And we do have to kind of point things out to them. And like I said, we're their eyes and ears. When it comes to visual, holding it face up and holding it landscape makes a huge difference. The first few meetings, I would do it like face up, and the screen was just that much smaller. And then landscape, when you turn it to the side, it's a little bit more wider. Spatially, it's a little bit better for them to kind of get a hang of what the space is like. Now, even then, some spaces seem bigger than they really are on camera. Some spaces seem smaller than they are on camera. It's our job to kind of to call it out, to say, hey, what you're seeing, it's much bigger in person than what I'm seeing on the screen. You have to call things out. Like I said, we are their eyes and ears. So it's important.
Hey, Ron, looks like
Yeah.
Andy has his hand up. Andy, do you have a question you'd like to?
I do. My question is, Ron, would you be recording this while you're doing it so you have it for future reference, or how do you handle that?
So I've done, so far, the way that I handle it so far, I haven't recorded during, unless I'm asking for permission. There was one, the buyer consultations, I started recording them. I didn't record them in the beginning. The showings, I'm doing the showing. And then if it's one of my properties, then I'll definitely do the video walkthrough while I'm there, a separate one for anybody else that calls on it. Or if it's a type of property that I know that it's in my niche, I'm doing the recording. So if it's in my niche, I'm doing the recording for one major reason, because if I'm getting another phone call, I'm prepared to send that video walkthrough out. So, you can kind of, pick and choose which ones you want to do. But if you know that you have clients for this particular type of product, by all means, do a video walkthrough, because if somebody calls you on it and 2 seconds later I'm providing them a video walkthrough, is that of value to them?
Yes.
I
And then,
think so. Yeah.
is there a time limit? Do you try to do it within a certain amount of time, or you just, however long it takes you to get
So
through?
I would keep them short, to keep even these, a lot of these videos, I think also virtual open houses, you want to keep the actual videos shorter because the people's attention span, when they see 20 or 30 minutes on a video, they won't even watch the video. But when they see 4, 5, 6 minutes, they're more likely to see the video. So, I would recommend actually keeping the videos short, not long.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? So
Yes, I
far?
have a question.
Yes.
As a listing agent, with my photos, they're always in order to get people to come and see the house. When you describe the recording you're doing, it is for the benefit of the buyer so they see every nook and cranny so they feel more comfortable buying. If I'm not the one representing a buyer, should I still do a video like you described? If I'm just representing the seller?
I would recommend it
Okay.
for a couple different reasons. One, it's a video walkthrough of a property, and it's also you're in the video. You're maybe introducing the property in the beginning or the end. You might watermark some branding to it, and you can take that video and just put it on any social media platform you want. It's a tool. It's an advertising. It's a marketing tool. And for you to get exposure, not just for your client, but for you too. So I'd recommend doing it, actually.
Even if I'm pointing out the negatives?
No, actually, well, that's a different type of video.
Well, that's
You
what
as
I'm
a
asking.
listing agent, you're just doing a general video walkthrough.
Okay.
As a buyer's agent,
Right.
it's a little bit different.
Right.
Even as a buyer's agent, when I'm doing the video walkthrough, it's just me walking through the house. If it's pre-recorded and I'm sending it to them, and then I will, when I have a conversation with them, I'm pointing out the pros, the cons and the pros of the property. So it's, because I know what they are because I've physically seen it. So even when I'm just doing the general pre-recording or video walkthrough, I'm not going to spend more time and point things out. It's just going to be a general one.
For your listings, will you do that type of a walkthrough for another agent's buyer if the other agent isn't comfortable going into a property that's not vacant?
So would I feel comfortable doing it for another agent's buyer?
Right.
So here's why it's an advantage to have those video walkthroughs recorded. Because if another buyer's agent is contacting me, and I've done this too, I've asked other listing agents if they have video walkthroughs, and they did, and they sent it to me, and I can't tell you how thankful I am that they did. So it's an advantage because if I have a video walkthrough that I can send to that buyer's agent, I think it's advantageous. It definitely benefits everybody. So I would recommend everybody have video walkthroughs of the property that they can text in 2 seconds a link to.
Okay.
And Ron, just one other question on this subject. Have you had any experience yet where the listing side, they actually had the seller be the one with the phone and walk through the house? And what does that experience feel like? What's your thoughts on that?
It was good. When we did it a few times, it was good. So it seems like the conversation happened between the seller and the listing agent before my clients and myself were, jumped onto the Zoom call. They were prepared to have that walkthrough because it was done. They did a great job doing it. So it was fine. So we're asking questions while they're doing the walkthrough. We asked them to open up a closet. We asked them to spend a little bit more time in the backyard. It was actually kind of an easy, smooth flow to it. It was great the few times we did it.
Gotcha. But as what you experienced was the listing agent was still a driver in making sure that it was a good experience with the seller versus letting the seller be by themselves.
Right, and it's the listing agent mostly speaking, introducing the property, the benefits, the pros, the cons. If there's any questions, then the listing agent will direct the question towards the seller. The seller will answer, and then we'll go from there. But it's mostly the listing agent directing the walkthrough. You kind of have to take lead, and then the job of the seller is really just to hold the camera, walk through, follow instructions and answer any questions.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions, any concerns, any ideas? I can tell you that, yes, there are different platforms. I've used Facebook, FaceTime, I've used Zoom, and I've used WhatsApp so far for the different walkthroughs and meetings to do these things. So they all work just fine. They all did the job. There's no right or wrong here, just whatever you prefer best, or whatever the clients prefers best. Different clients have different preferences, so it doesn't really matter. Now, the question is also, okay, we've done the video walkthrough, we've done the virtual tour, what happens next? And then that depends on the client. The clients that don't want to do any physical showings, well, do they like it enough to submit an offer, or do they need more information? Do they need more time? Whatever the case may be. If the client is okay with seeing physical properties after the preview, okay, well, do you want to schedule a physical showing now? Okay, if they do schedule a physical showing, what now? And that's really important. So what happens after is just as important as the physical showing, and that's why you should have protocols and procedures in place, and everybody should be on the same page as to what they are. Both listing agents and buyer's agents should have. Both listing agents and buyer's agents should have. So I can, let's say I ask for a physical showing from a listing agent. I'm okay with them instructing me on how they expect this showing to look like. That's okay. And the buyers are okay with it. I need you to know that. The buyers know what's going on. The buyers know that listing agents are going to request a limit to the amount of people in the property. They're going to say you have to wear a mask, gloves, and booties. Whatever instructions you want to provide the buyers, they'll follow. And those that don't follow, it's okay, because apparently they're not serious buyers, or apparently they're not as qualified as your sellers would like them to be, and that's okay. The ones that are serious, the ones that are very qualified, they're going to follow the instructions of the listing agents and the buyer's agents. So just be okay with having protocols and procedures. The instruction flyer, the checklist, it's great. You can put it right on the MLS if you wanted to, honestly. As a buyer's agent, I'm okay with it too. Just stick it on the MLS with the rest of the documents, and then everybody is on the same page. Everybody knows what to expect. And when everybody knows what to expect, there's no surprises. The last thing we want is, we show up with 3 adults and 4 kids, and the seller gets upset and they say, no, you can't go into the house, or somebody shows up without a mask and they say you can't. But the instructions said everybody needs to wear a mask. The instructions said no children. Having instructions is okay, because then it puts everybody on the same page.
Ron, it's okay for us to have no kids right now during this?
I'm seeing it a lot. Actually, okay. I've seen it quite a few. I've had clients. We had an accepted offer 2 weeks on a property. The seller said no kids. They have 2 boys. We didn't bring the boys on any of the showings. Okay. They understood.
Yeah.
It's okay. So, there is a health concern out there. Yep. We have to accommodate not just buyers, we have to accommodate sellers. We have to also accommodate ourselves too. We have to, take care of ourselves and everybody else around us. So the way I kind of think about it is, okay, let me speak to somebody and let me behave to somebody as if I have it. So I wouldn't want them to get sick, and vice versa. Let me speak to somebody, let me behave with somebody as if they have it. So wear a mask, wear gloves, social distancing, all that fun stuff. Yep. You have to make sure you stay healthy as well as them. So it is what it is, right? The situation, yep. But we have to take all precautions. So how do we do that? Tell your buyers. I would say tell your buyers to do drive-throughs. Yeah, go ahead. You had something to say?
Sorry. I just had a quick question then, if you can just fold in when you go through this procedure, and that would be, you just talked about no kids, but when the people come as a couple, and with the order about how many people can be in the house at any given time for the showing, can you just touch on that when you go through this protocol and procedures, please?
Sure. So I've come across different things. I've also done inspections where they say limit to 2 people, or limit to 1 person, or limit to 3 people. So this isn't just for showings. This is for everything that we're doing moving forward, including inspections and walkthroughs and all that fun stuff. So it's you're going to see limitations, and it's even going to be part of our negotiations. So in advance, if you don't have instructions as a listing agent and as a seller, it's always case by case. They're going to say, we want to limit 3 people in a house. Okay, so we're, as a buyer's agent and buyers, we know that walking in, and then we're going to make sure we stay in those limits unless you have to negotiate it, which is, I've had to negotiate it. So they instead of 1 person, 2 people, instead of 2 people, 3 people. So it just, you want to have communication. Why? So everybody's on the same page and there's no surprises, disappointment, nobody gets upset, stuff like that. It's never fun. For buyers, before they actually do a physical show, yes.
Ron, did you also mention have a pre-approval before the showing occurs?
So I didn't mention it now because that's part of the buyer consultation process. But I can tell you that you probably shouldn't be doing physical showings in today's environment if they're not serious buyers, which means pre-approved. So beyond that,
Right, but as a listing agent, can you put that in on part of your checklist?
I don't see why not.
The
I have no
pre-approval must
I have my buyer's pre-approvals. I have no problem sending them with a blanked out. I'm not going to show you the price they're approved for because I'm not going to lose leverage.
Right.
But I'm
Right.
going to blank it out, and I'm going to say, here's their pre-approval from Atlantic Home Loans, Bond Street Mortgage, NJ Lenders, Bank of America, whatever, right? So I'm going to send it to them. I have no problem emailing it in 2 seconds flat because I already have possession of it. So if that's a requirement, I'm okay with that. Because that also means that from a buyer agent perspective, I know that my buyers are serious if they have it in hand too, right? So I think it goes both ways. The listing agents, the sellers, the buyer's agents, we all want to know that we're working with serious buyers. So I don't see any reason to get pushback. Well, I can come up with some reasons why you might get pushback, but I don't see any good ones why you should get pushback, put it that way. Also, if you've done the video walkthrough, you've done the virtual showing, you've done the buyer consultation, you've done the needs analysis really, really well. You know exactly what they're looking for. You know what they're not looking for. You know what's most important to them. You know what the non-negotiables are. You can have them do a drive-by, right? Make sure they like the neighborhood. Make sure they like the house. That's okay. Have them look at the downtown. Have them look at the schools. That's stuff they can do on their own. They don't need you to be their chauffeur, especially now where they can't get into the same car with us. So, obviously the disclosures, I put it up there. Yes, I'm talking about the COVID disclosures. Obviously, we need to have those signed for every single showing. I'm not getting any pushback. I have some agents, well, what if they? No, they don't. They know what's going on. Buyers know what's going on. They've signed it every single time I've asked them. Can you sign this for me? It's like, what is this? It's a COVID-19 disclosure. Yeah, sure. That's the way the conversations go. That's it. So they know exactly what's going on. They sign those disclosures. I also mean the seller disclosures. As a listing agent, if you have the seller disclosures posted on the MLS, I'm forwarding it to them in advance as well. So they can review it. They can see how old the roof is. They can see how old the boiler is. They can see how old the water heater is. They can see when the last additions was. They can see if there's a termite. They have all the information in those disclosures. So anything like that, send it to them in advance as well. Yes, of course, we're going to follow CDC and NAR guidelines. We're going to provide them with instruction flyers from listing agents or maybe even your own as a buyer's agent. This is how I do showings. This is what you can expect when we're physically showing a home. This is what you can expect when we're virtually showing a home. Whatever you want, you can get as creative as you want. I started seeing all kinds of different checklists pop up that agents are sharing. It's great. Obviously, masks, gloves, wipes, booties, all that fun stuff. Don't touch anything. If you need to touch something, tell me. I'll do it for you. I'll use I have these wipes that I just, anything I touch, doorknobs and closets and everything, I'm always using a wipe, even though I have the gloves on. So we're always kind of finding the best way to do what we need to do. Any questions about procedures? What I will say about procedures is that it's better to have them so that you can communicate it, because you can't communicate it if you don't have them. So we need to be thinking, okay, how am I, how do I do a physical showing? How do I go about it? And then you have to communicate that to your clients. You have to say, okay, this is how physical showings go. And then get everybody on the same page. It's really important that everybody knows what happens next. Everybody knows what happens with a virtual showing. Everybody knows what happens with a physical showing. Everybody kind of does business a little bit differently, but that doesn't mean you can't communicate it to your clients. What else did I want to cover? Yeah, I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover with you guys. Any thoughts, comments, concerns, advice?
How are you communicating to your farm how you're handling this so they can be comfortable if they were planning on putting a house on the market? How are you getting the word out there that there's procedures that you already have in place for them?
So the buyer consultation for me has been the greatest tool in that, where we're prepping them for what happens next. And the buyers that are looking, and that's who I enjoy focusing on right now, because there are able buyers that really need to move or want to move right now. And we're having those conversations. We're saying, okay, you know, do you have any concerns about physical showings? They might say yes, they might say no. And then we're saying, okay, if we arrive at the physical showing, this is what happens. This is what it looks like. So,
Ron, how are you getting it out there to the general public so they'll contact you, so they don't feel like they have to wait until this is over? People you don't know yet.
I'm not one that goes on social media. I should get uncomfortable. You're absolutely right. I should get on Instagram and Facebook and do videos. But if you look for videos by Ron Lugashi online, you can't find them. Why? Because it's something that I haven't focused on. So you know, David Radney is always kind of pushing me to do more, and I really should do more videos. And you're right. It just, you know, getting comfortable getting the videos out there. So it's something that maybe it should be a focus of mine, creating these short videos.
Is Zohar reaching out to his farm for
over the phone? Yes, yeah. We're calling our past clients. We're calling our sphere. We're having those conversations.
No, people you don't know. For people you don't know.
Yeah. So he doesn't like video either. So it's one of those things that we need to be working on as agents, and you know, get the word out there. And I can tell you, there is movement. There is movement. I know with everything going on, there's many consumers out there that think maybe real estate agents aren't working. Well, we are working, and we do need to let everybody know, hey, we're still working. If you need, and there are those that need to buy, sell, rent, invest out there. And who better than us than to help them out, because they don't want to be working with an average or traditional agent right now. They want to be working with an expert. So who better than us to help them? We're the experts. We're the professionals.
Maybe that's the ad we need to put out there.
Yeah.
Just what you said. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you, me, everybody. We don't want to go to an average dentist. We don't want to go to an average mechanic, an average doctor, an average lawyer, an average accountant. No, especially now, we don't need an average agent with everything that's going on. No, they need an expert agent. They need a professional agent. They need not a good agent. They need a great agent. So who better than us? So like I said before, we're the guides, we're the facilitators, we're the navigators. We're going to help them get the end result they're looking for, because there are those that need to sell. Maybe they're relocating to the other side of the country. Maybe they just lost their job. Maybe somebody passed away. Maybe they're getting divorced. Maybe 1,000 different reasons. On the buying end, same thing. Maybe they're relocating. Maybe their lease expires. They don't want to renew it for another year. Maybe they're having another baby. They have to get out of Jersey. I don't know what the reason is, but there are plenty that need to buy and sell. How do I know that? Why? Because just in the last 24 hours, there's been over 60 listings added to the MLS. Just in the last week, there's been over 400 listings added to the MLS. Just in the last 4 weeks, there's been over 1,600 listings added to the MLS. People are selling because, and if you need this, if you're putting your house on the market now, you need to sell. No different on the buying end. Buyers are looking now because they need to buy for one reason or another. Who better to help them, right?
Well, and Ron, you also earlier in your slide, you had the flyer that was created by KW on what we provide as virtual. So that can be used. People are using that and posting that on Facebook. So that also could be downloaded. There's a PDF out there. You can download that and include that in communication to people also. So
absolutely, yeah. This is the PDF, but you know, they emailed the entire market center, so I just downloaded it, put it in a part of the slideshow just as a visual. And yeah, it's a tool. It's a tool that we can use during our presentations. It's a tool that we can use in our marketing. It's a tool that you can use to communicate. Hey, there is a way to buy a home nowadays. There is even though you have the concern. Oh, you have a health concern? Okay, what's the biggest issue with the concern? Okay, do you have a few minutes to talk about how we can still view homes? Do you have a few minutes to discuss the buying process and what that looks like today? Do you have a few, so there's ways to get them into conversation. Even with sellers, it's like, oh, we're going to hold on. You're going to see a lot of different objections because of everything that's going on lately. Oh, we're going to hold off because of everything that's going on. Okay, well, what's your biggest concern with everything that's going on? Oh, just the health concern and everybody walking through the home. Well, the market data shows that there still is a lot of movement in the market, and we can still sell your home without actually physically showing it. Do you have a few minutes to discuss how we can do that? And then it gets them into the conversation, either buyer consultation or listing consultation, and kind of educate them about the best way to get the end result they're looking for. And it may not be a good time for them to sell, but it may be a time that they need to sell, and we're the ones that need to show them a way how to do it. So that's what I got for you.
Can I just answer to Lynn? I also want to let you know, I just put I think it was a good article that I shared from somebody in another area, and I put that newspaper article on my Facebook page.
Okay,
And
thank
it was,
you.
I thought it was helpful.
Fantastic. I'll look at it. Thank you.
Yeah. And we are doing physical showings. Again, we're taking all possible precautions. A lot of times it's actually just me doing the video walkthroughs or the virtual showings. And it's been working. It's been a great tool. We're always looking to improve on it. And it's, for now, moving forward in the recent future, it's going to be a tool that we have to use. So, there is going to be business that's going to be conducted. There are transactions to be part of, maybe less. Yes, there's fewer buyers, and I typically work with buyers. We're going to go out and we're going to find those particular ones. With virtual open houses, it's a type of virtual showing. You can spend a whole hour just on virtual open houses right now. The biggest challenge, I think, with those is capturing the leads. So we're doing virtual open houses, and the question in my mind is, how can I best capture leads? Because at a physical open house, we're always looking to capture seller leads and buyer leads. And with virtual open houses, my main question is, okay, there's the best way to conduct it, but what's the best way to capture buyer and seller leads? So that's a different type of conversation, I think, already. And that has to do a lot with how you market it, advertise it, and what tools you're using to capture those particular leads, so you have a return on your time, your investment, all that fun stuff. So I think that's just a different conversation. But again, it's still, virtual showings is still a part of it. So it's again, things are changing. We just have to evolve with it until things go back to normalcy, which is likely after they create a vaccine for it. So, any last thoughts, questions, concerns? Anything you'd like to share, best practices you've discovered that I'm not aware of? Okay, well, I trust you all got value out of today. And if for whatever reason you want to pick my brain, you want to have a conversation about it, feel free to call me, text me, email me. I'm always responsive, always. So
Thank you, Ron.
feel free to reach out, and I'm here for you. And let me know if I can help with anything. And I guess I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks, Ron.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron. Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ron. I will see you ALC meeting later today. Will you be able to attend?